Hey everyone, this is Austin Schur here with We Write About Music, and today I'm speaking with David Touchton. He's just shared his newest single titled Wishing Well, and I'm super excited to talk to him all about it. David, I want to thank you so much for coming on today. How are you doing?
Doing well. Thank you for having me be a part of this.
You are very welcome. All good music deserves to be talked about, and I want to hop right into it right here. Wishing Well is a fantastic track, so much soul, feels extremely heartfelt. What is the song about? What did you write about, and what are like the meanings behind it?
I've never really given away exactly what that song is about because it is very personal to me. I mean,
Sure.
I guess I kind of leave it open to interpretation. But I wrote it when I was going through a very big transitional part of my life. Kind of everything was kind of up in the air at the time,
Sure.
both on a professional level and on a personal level. And so there's a lot of stuff in that song that I guess I found meaning in, and made a song out of it. And I hope that maybe somebody else will too.
You know what? I'm actually kind of happy that you don't give the full thing away because for some people, music is extremely personal to them, obviously.
True.
But I think there being so much music out there, it should be open to interpretation. Anyone can listen to something and make anything of it, and it should be open ended.
Well, I figure there's plenty of songs that have meant something to me from other people over my time that
Yeah,
it may not have been to the artist what they were writing about, what it meant to me.
exactly. Yeah, and they may never have an interview to explain it, so it's kind of just up to you to go line by line and figure it out.
True.
I love that. I love that, man. And also the production here is great.
Oh, thank
I would recommend everyone listen with a nice pair of headphones. Don't listen on your phone speakers or your laptop speakers here, because it really is just like the sound itself. I felt was a lot bigger. You know what I mean? And I don't know if that was the intention or the style, but I'd love to hear if you had any like outside help putting this together or kind of just a
well.
story on that.
Yeah, it was done by Mr. Kai Williams, who's lives here in Austin, Texas. Also,
Okay.
he runs sound for the White Horse, and he started up his own company, KLW Audio,
Okay.
uh, kind of like right before COVID.
Sure.
Starting
Sure.
to do both live sound recordings and like studio recordings for people. And I was one of the first people that came to him to do a full length album.
Nice.
And we've been working together for years from playing at the White Horse, and
Mhm.
it was a good opportunity for us to we had a lot of free time on our hands during 2020,
Yes,
like
love.
everybody did. So
Right.
we got to, it took us about 15 months. I didn't use my regular band to do this.
Mhm.
I kind of asked favors from several different musicians that I've met over the years here in Austin, and Kai, he did all of he co-produced it with me. He did all of the mixing and the engineering, and he
Okay.
even did the mastering for it too.
Well, congrats to him and congrats to you. It's like every singer-songwriter needs a collaborator on the production end. I don't think
That's
people realize just how complicated it is to like put a song together once you've got the idea for it.
I'm glad that you mentioned the headphone thing because we
Absolutely.
before we did the final mastering, we went through and we listened to it in like several mediums. Like we drove around in my car listening to it for a while.
Yes, that's a
We
good
listened to it
test.
through studio speakers. And my favorite way to hear it every time is through a really good pair of headphones, man.
Yeah, man, because you're missing out on the subtleties. That's when like the
Yeah.
production shines the brightest. It's also when it feels the most intimate, and this song is extremely intimate, just like due to its sort of like minimalistic nature and the instrumentation. But it hits hard no matter where you listen to it, I think.
I think you're right. There's a lot of kind of like smaller, like not quite hidden, but almost,
Yes.
uh, you know, and this track "Wishing Well," it's the title track on the album,
Yeah.
and I think it sets a great tone being the first track. It sets a great tone for the rest of the album too.
Nice. And I actually had the opportunity to listen to a lot of your other music. It's been released
Right.
already. So my question here is, are you going to be looking to experiment in sound? You say that you have this album. Do the songs differ a little bit from the others, or does it have that one distinct cohesion to it?
This was a different album from anything else that I've put out.
Sure.
A lot of my previous recordings have been
Mhm.
kind of a more hard driving, like dance honky tonk kind of sound to it.
Okay.
This is an album that I'd been wanting to make for a long time, and there's a couple of songs on there that are kind of along the lines of "Wishing Well" with like the blues tones and whatnot,
Mhm.
and then there's a few that are still very traditional country sounding. And I've even got a track on there that's kind of heavily inspired by Tom Waits.
Oh,
So I
nice.
I did kind of get to show like a few more of my influences on this one.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, so Tom Waits is an obvious influence, but who are the others? Who are you trying to pull and channel inspiration from when you're making music?
Uh, you know, it started
It
off.
never the list never really ends. It's always
Yeah, man,
getting added on to.
that's what I hope for.
Mhm.
On this one, I'd say yeah, I think Hank Williams Sr. was a big influence on this one as far
Sure,
as kind of the general tone of it, and I guess there's an overall. I don't want to say necessarily sadness, but I guess it is to
sure.
the whole. I mean, look at the time that it was made during.
Oh, yeah, man.
Uh,
We're gonna get a ton of sad music. It's
right.
understandable.
Um, Ray Wiley Hubbard is another big influence.
Okay.
I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's a
Mm,
Texas artist. Kind of, he started off kind of more traditional country too, and then became like more of a. He's got a real low down blues sound to him. I think you'd
okay.
like him if.
Okay, I'll check them out. Thank you for the recommendation.
Uh,
So
those two were a couple of the bigger ones. There's a little bit of, I guess, maybe a little bit of Towns Van Zandt or Blaze Foley mixed in there too.
okay,
Um, it's like I said, I got to try out a few, or experiment with a few different interpretations on this one.
nah, man, you gotta experiment. You also have to make yourself happy. You're the one that's putting the time and the effort
True.
into making the music. If it's not music that you don't want to hear, what's the point in making it?
Exactly. And this
Totally.
is my favorite. This is my fourth album to release, and
Mhm.
I've had two EPs and then a live album that I did a couple years ago. And this is my favorite thing that I've done so far, man.
Nice. Is there a release date on the album yet? Are you still working it out?
Actually, no, it got released back at the end of January,
Oh, okay.
and this is the song off of the album that I've been kind of pushing to everybody.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah,
Well, then I'm gonna check it out in full then. Thanks for the thanks for the heads up.
yeah,
Uh,
it's on the Spotify and all of
yeah.
the iTunes, Apple. Any of your
Well,
down.
yeah. We'll have links to everything up here
Of
so
course.
people can listen wherever they want. Um, so how long have you been making music for?
Uh, I mean, yeah, it's what I've always wanted to do in my life. I've only
Sure.
been doing it full time, like professionally, for about 6 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've been making my living doing it for about 6 years now. But I was involved in the scene, like on a smaller capacity for a long time before that.
Sure. It's sort of like a two-part question, but I want to know, so like take yourself back 6 years ago. What was the thing or like a series of things that kind of flipped the switch from it being like, hey, I just play music for fun to hey, I'm doing it professionally?
Well, it was it's funny because that kind of happened around the time that I wrote the song "Wishing Well." I
Really?
wrote that song kind of during that. It was that transitional period that I was
Hmm.
talking about, and things in my personal life were kind of going astray, and you know, um, I was really hating what I was doing for a living, and I'd been doing that for so long just to pay bills and whatnot,
Yeah,
and
man.
I knew what I wanted to do for so long, and it took me a long time to really make that jump and get out there and you know try to do it.
I totally understand. Is there something about the entire process of making music, whether it be the writing, the experiencing life part to write, or just like getting in the studio that excites you the most about the whole process?
Well, my favorite part of the whole thing is being on stage.
Okay.
The live performances is a favorite for me. I really enjoy the songwriting process when it comes up.
Nice.
But I found that, like I can't force myself to write anything. When I do, it
No.
never comes out as good as I want it to. I mean, of course, sometimes, when I've kind of been in a writer's block for a while, I have to kind of force myself to write something. But most of the time, the songs that I'm happiest with just kind of come out naturally.
I mean, that's the thing nowadays is there's so much manufactured music where, there's ghost writers and people putting things together and ideas, but you can just instantly sense the fakeness of it all. But when
Yeah,
someone is like, I think in a more intimate setting like your music, where someone is literally bearing their soul within the lyrics, that's when that's when you can actually make a connection to the music. It has to sound like it's coming from someone who lived through something as opposed to just like a team of 10 writers who put a bop together.
that's a very true statement. I mean,
Mhm.
somebody could write down the exact same words that I did, and or something very,
Sure.
they could perform it too, and it might sound really great, but I
Yeah.
think you can always tell when there's, like you said, there's experience and somebody who's lived the things that they're singing about.
Right. When you're playing live, do you play with a band or is it just you up on stage?
I do both.
Okay.
I play solo shows, and I've got a full band that I play with. But and everything in between too. We do duo shows and trios and whatnot.
Nice. And do you mainly tour around Austin, or do you have anything bigger planned for the rest of this year?
Uh, you know, I was thinking about doing a tour this summer, but that that's kind of yet to be seen. For the most
Sure,
part,
sure.
we play here in Austin and the surrounding area. We go down to other parts of Texas. Go down to Houston, San Antonio from time to
Okay.
time, Dallas occasionally. Um, but Austin is really the main hub, and kind of the surrounding area here.
Sure. Well, coincidentally, I have a ton of family that lives in Austin. So
Really?
I do, I do. And every time I come, they just make fun of me and my name. So I try not to go that often. But yeah, man, I would love to come and see it. I just feel like this specific brand of music translates so well live that you can listen to it and you can feel it, but there's nothing like standing there and witnessing it in a live setting.
Yeah,
Well,
I agree.
I would love to see some dates whenever you got them.
Yeah, you can always visit the website that I believe I sent to y'all.
Perfect.
I just updated my calendar a few days ago, so it's got all the dates for at least the next couple of months.
Wonderful. Perfect. I will check it out. Do you have a favorite song of yours to perform? Like, is there one song in the set that you kind of just like get a little anxious before?
I wouldn't say anxious, but there is. I guess I always say if I had a signature song, it'd be this song of mine called "Lonesome Road,"
Okay.
which is, we perform this at pretty much every show that we do, and we usually save it for last. Um, and I do that same thing in my solo shows also.
Sure.
Uh, it The song means a lot to me because it was the first song that I wrote when I moved to Austin from Houston.
Okay.
That was a little over 17 years ago.
Oh,
So I've been here for a while. Um, and so that's you know the song's always been kind of personal to me.
oh, I understand. And everyone needs a good closer. So
Yeah.
I don't blame you. I can't believe that we're basically at the end of March here. It still feels like the beginning of the year to me. I don't know how it feels for you, but it's just time is flying right by. Uh, what are like some lofty goals that you've set for yourself to hopefully accomplish by the end of this year?
Well, probably the biggest one is I've been thinking about my next album since before we finished Wishing Well.
That's the sign
Uh,
of a good artist. You always got to plan ahead.
and here recently, we just went through the big South by Southwest festival.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm hoping to be able to work with Kai again, as the engineer and co-producer on this next album also. So I was waiting for him to finish up with he was really, really busy during South by, with all of the live shows that he does sound for.
Makes sense.
And so I'm waiting for him to finish up there. And me and him are going to get together soon. and start kind of pre-production talks for the next one and see kind of see where it goes from there.
Love it. Do you have any ideas? Are you the type of artist that is always like writing something or like singing into your phone for a note if anything comes in?
you
Yeah.
know, you know, I've always liked the idea of trying to write down like handwritten lyrics and whatnot, but that's just not, you know,
Yeah,
it
you're
just
not
doesn't
walking
work.
around with a pen and a paper.
It's our phones and the little notepad app in there has made it so much easier to just pull it out and write down a quick phrase or a couple of lines real quick, and
Exactly.
way better than all the times that I thought I had a good line and then forgot it by the time I got to a pen.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, there's a real interesting like one like a real artist would, they'd write it on a pen and paper and they'd have the lyrics like no, sometimes you wake up in the middle of the night and your phone is right there and you got an idea. You just got to capitalize it on it
That's
right there.
true.
Love it.
That's true.
Um, got a couple more questions for you at this point. I want to
Okay.
know, what are you listening to in your free time? Is what you listen to different from the music that you make?
You know, uh, I guess I mean I'm like we were saying way earlier. I'm always trying to expand what I listen to.
Hmm.
Uh, it adds. I think it adds more depth to what I wind up writing.
Okay,
Um, because the stuff that I've written in the last few years is I think I guess um, maybe a little more advanced from where I started out.
yeah,
Uh,
you're always growing.
yeah, I guess I started writing or really trying to write when I was like 18 or 19 years old.
Okay,
And I like to hope at least that I've come a long ways from the first few songs that I wrote.
sure, sure.
I'm sure that I wouldn't really want to go back and listen to most of those.
I
Uh,
understand.
but to answer your question about what I'm listening to now, uh, I do have a playlist that I kind of put together recently, which is it's it's all artists that I've come across in like the 6 years that I've been doing this full time,
Sure.
like artists that I've shared the stages with, and done song swaps and been on the same bills with, just kind of local Texas artists here in this scene, and not necessarily just country or blues artists, but
Yeah.
different genres mixed in there. And I've been listening to that a lot to just kind of get more and more acquainted with their songs and like you get more in depth in their catalogs and whatnot. Um, I'd say, you know, a lot of the artists that I spend or that I listen to a great deal are, guys like, um, I mean, I still listen to a lot of Ray Wiley Hubbard. I listen to a lot of Pink Floyd. I listen to a lot of Tom Waits. Um, there's always the traditional country stuff that I go back to. I mean,
Of course.
it's a lot to mention.
Oh, I understand. Again, it never ends. Every
Yeah,
Friday, there's a new album coming out that it's either good or it's bad, but then, you feel like you're listening to a million things at once. I get it.
truth.
I get it. Um, David, this has been a fantastic conversation. I
Thank
have
you.
one more question to ask you.
Go ahead.
Basically, the question is for the person that is going to discover you from this, and for the person that's going to listen to your music for the first time, what is an opening message that you'd like to say to them?
Oh, wow, man. Uh, I guess just let go of expectations. Open your mind and be accepting of whatever it is you experience.
Hmm.
Don't have any preconceived notions of what you're going to get from anything.
I think that's a great answer. Uh,
That's best
keep
I
it,
could come up with
yeah,
on the fly,
man.
man.
Keep it light, keep it simple, and I want to plug your music for you one more time for everyone out there. The song is called "Wishing Well," but also check out the album since it is out. I can only imagine just how great it is. And David, I want to thank you so much again for taking the time, and I'm glad that we can make this time work for both of us. But seriously, thank you so much.
Oh, this has been great, man. Thank you so much for having me as a guest, and
Yeah, man.
I'm glad that you enjoyed Wishing Well, and I hope you take a listen to the rest of the album too.
I really did. I've got no plans for the rest of today, so I'm listening to it today.
Excellent.
Awesome, man. Take care, get some sleep, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, you take care too.
All right, bye bye.